All right, we are taking a look at my Casio A500W World Time today. You may remember the more popular and well-known and larger brother, the Casio AE1200 World Time. This is actually the smaller, less conspicuous, and I would say much easier wearing version, which is actually great for travel, which I think it's intended for. This watch comes in exactly at 1.75 ounces or 49 grams. And that's about the size, I would say almost exactly the size of a A168. The watch is 33.5 millimeters wide. It is 39 millimeters tall and 9.6 millimeters thick. And yet this watch still manages to put a world map, a whole world map right here on the display, which is very cool. And compared to the AE1200, what it doesn't have is this digital clock dial, which I don't necessarily miss and is not a deal breaker for me at all. The case is resin, but chrome plated, and this the back here is also steel. The watch band is 5 links across, which I think the other steel watches are usually 3 across, or in so this is just a little bit more elegant, or maybe a little bit more complicated looking. And the adjustment mechanism is the same as the other Casio watches. You lift this up with a screwdriver and you can move it up and down, and it clasps by hooking it down here, and then you press, and then you unhook it like that. And because of the world time function, the A500W actually has 4 buttons, which is gives a nice sense of symmetry. On the default timekeeping screen, you can see the day, the month, the date, and time. And if you're on daylight savings time, you can see the DST indicator as well. On the upper left, you can see indications here. Right now I have alarm and hourly signal on. The very top spot here, which is not currently on, is for mute, which shuts off the beep when you push the watch buttons. The map on this watch, even the watch being much smaller, is actually bigger than the one on the AE1200. If you take a look, this one has a slightly larger world map, even though the watch itself is smaller, and it can do that because it does not have that digital clock face that's on the AE1200 here. So it has a little bit more screen real estate. You on the home screen here, I guess you can call it, the timekeeping mode, you press search right here on the lower right on the screen, and it will actually let you rotate through 4 different cities that you have saved. So we have New York, we have Berlin, and we have Tokyo that I saved. Now, if you want to change it, you hold down the screen and you hold down the adjust button, and you can change any of the 4 locations. It'll rotate through 4 different T1, T2, T1, T2, T3, and T4. And so you can change it if you want. And if you press mode one more time, this actually gets you to the world time map view, where you rotate through all the different cities. There's 49 cities here, the same number as the AE1200. And if you notice that for Europe, it's already tomorrow. So we can rotate through all of the different, all 49, until we come back to Rome again. So you can see in North America, we're still at birthday behind, and you can see it when it crosses the international date line. And then the next mode are the alarms. There's 5 alarms, and right now we see the hourly signal. We can turn off the that alarm, and it can rotate through all 5 of them, and then we can also, let's go back. All the alarms are off, and then we can turn off the hourly, like so. And the next 2 modes should be familiar to folks. You have the timer, and then the stopwatch. And the light on here is the orange variety, and unfortunately, it's not the cool blue electroluminescence on the A168. And currently, if you see, I press it once, it actually stays on for a little bit. There is a setting where you can adjust it down to 1.5 seconds as well. And overall, I much prefer wearing this watch than the AE1200, mostly due to size. It is pretty much the size of a 168, and I'm totally fine with trading in the digital clock face here for a slightly larger map and a much smaller watch. The interesting thing is that being a smaller watch, it's actually $10 more expensive than the AE1200 with a metal band. This, I think, is a fantastic travel watch, best of both worlds. You have the world map on the AE1200 and the size, weight, and feel of the A168. So fantastic watch. It's one of my favorite Casios